G'day folks, I'm Wayne, welcome back to MC News. Today we're having a look at BMW's GS 1250 X. We're going to find out if this thing is still the Mac Daddy and the benchmark of large capacity adventure bikes. Stick around, let's find out. So the big Bavarian masterpiece has arguably been the benchmark pretty much forever, really, in terms of all other bikes have been compared to this bike and judged against this. Now the real question is it still that benchmark? Is it still top of the pile? It's definitely up there, and it's got some really good strong points about it, and a certain character about it that is, I think, unique to the GS that a lot of people clearly love and will tell you about all the time, and there's good reasons for that. First things first, 250 kilos all up. It's not light, it's never going to be. 1254cc engine makes 136 horsepower and about 143 newton meters of torque. Really torquey, super bottom end, really good fueling off the bottom right the way through, but bottom and mid-range is where it's at with this engine. Beautiful low speed fueling, beautiful low speed manners overall.
So 3 grand, we're just on 3 grand, and it is just lugging up here. So that's even lower. We're in second gear, probably fast running pace, 37 k's. I reckon 3.5 grand, 3.5 to 4. It's really in its comfort zone. Pulls like an absolute steam train. So it goes proper hard. And nice gravel roads like this, really in its element. Yeah, it likes this stuff.
That boxer layout, really good in terms of low speed maneuverability, so super easy to ride, and I think that's why it's so appealing to a wide range of riders. Like, it is really well behaved, and as I said, super torquey. Like, it will idle along even up inclines.
This is idling right now. There is no throttle at all, right? I'm going to just idle along, idling, and show you how well this tractors. Pulling, oh look at that, it's even pulling uphill now. It is an absolute beast in terms of down the bottom.
Yeah, very impressive engine. Suspension on the Rallye X is electronic, so you've got a bunch of modes as you would expect. Road mode is probably a little bit too soft for my liking. The bike will dive around under acceleration and deceleration a little bit too much, but there is a dynamic pro mode that is essentially a sport mode, and that I found really nice in terms of the overall setup, suspension wise. The one thing that I think there is a missed trick here is that electronic suspension, you can't go in and fine tune it to the degree that you can on some other bikes like the Triumph Tiger and the Ducati Multistrada. So certainly in the off-road side of things, when I was in Enduro Pro mode, that mode lets you have traction control turned off, ABS on the rear off, that sort of stuff. But yeah, in Enduro Pro mode I found the suspension a little bit too soft for my liking, and it will really fall through the sort of the top 2/3 of the suspension stroke, probably a little bit quicker than I'd like as well.
It's really choppy here. There we go. So you can see she's sort of diving over those a bit, but that sort of really choppy rough stuff is not, we're really sort of at the edge of the envelope of what this bike is designed for.
Again, if it was me and I'm wanting to push a bit harder, I'd like it a little bit firmer in that mode, but most people probably won't, and I think that's a sort of bit of a vibe about this bike, that it's more about finding a flow, finding a rhythm, and really sort of keeping momentum and keeping smooth on this bike.
So we're sort of floating over those, but you wouldn't want to get too much quicker. This is kind of the limit for the big girl, I think.
Gearbox, a quick shifter is really nice. It's not as nice a lever feel as some other bikes that I've ridden recently, but it is typically German efficient, has a nice little pop on gear change. Speaking of pop on gear change, that exhaust, great little acro muffler on there, and I think it's probably the best sounding Boxer that I've ever ridden. They don't typically have an amazing exhaust note to my ears anyway, but this isn't too bad. So the Rallye X, as you see here, comes absolutely loaded with all sorts of accessories. Standard sort of electronic stuff that you would expect. The crash bars, the luggage racks, the muffler, the spotlights. I won't go through the specs on here, you can have a look at the review online. But 35 grand or a bit more, so it's certainly not cheap. It is what it is. You get what you pay for in this case. When would I choose this? If I was a sort of rider that wasn't super aggressive and wanting to be super fast off-road, probably. Really amazing on-road manners. You know, I'd put this up there with one of those bikes that will definitely surprise a lot of people on road. Should also call out front brakes, especially the front brake. The rear is really nice too, but that front brake is incredible. And that whole front end, so much grip in that front end. So just a supreme amount of grip in the front end. It is really quite surprising just how good the front end of this bike is. And yeah, on the road, on the sealed stuff, you can get away with things that you don't think you probably are going to be able to get away with at first. It's a little bit off-putting riding with the big cylinder sticking out the side for the first little while. And I found myself having a bit of a peek down mid-corner, certainly for the first few hundred kilometers when I was in the twisties. But you get used to it after a while and you don't sort of notice it's there. For me personally, I probably can't say the same thing about the whole shaft drive Boxer tilt when you clutch in, blip the throttle, the bike will rock slightly to the left. There's some footage of that.
I'll just pull the clutch in and see if we can get a caught on camera, but I don't know if you can see that, but the bike is rocking to the left. When I pull the clutch in and give that throttle a blip, it rocks to the left at the top. That's not something wrong with the bike, that's just physics.
Yeah, you'll either fall into one or two camps there. You'll either fall into the camp of, I don't mind it, that's all fine, or if you're like me, it's probably a little bit, hang on, the bike is doing something that I'm not asking it to do right now, so I find it a little bit odd. But I'd probably get used to it after a while, and I don't think it'd put me off buying this bike. Yeah, standouts, as I said, engine, bottom end, super torquey, really amazing bottom end and mid-range. Front brakes are incredible, and just the low speed manners and maneuverability. You can see why this is popular. It's really easy to change direction and just maneuver around things really well. Detractors for me, it's that sort of Boxer shaft drive tilt is definitely one of them. Fair bit of engine noise comes out of the engine bay here. Not all of it the most flattering engine noise, but you know, that is what it is. And I also find the side stand a bit difficult at times to find if you're wanting to throw it down pretty quickly, but see, that last one's a pretty minor gripe, but yeah, I like this bike.
Is it still the Mac Daddy? I think that is now absolutely up for debate. Whereas before, it kind of, in years gone by, there was really no question. There was this and then a big gap. That's not the case anymore. This is still a very, very, very good thing. And I think one of your top 3 choices, surely, in large capacity adventure bikes. Would have to be. It'd have to be. You'd be barking mad not to have this in your shortlist.
I like this bike as I expected to. There's a reason that when you pull up at a lot of places, when you're out cruising around and doing some touring, that BMW GS riders will probably come over and tell you that, you know, they're on the best bike in the world, because it's one of them, definitely. Anyway, that's probably enough for me today. Thanks for all your support as always. Like and subscribe, share the video if you can. Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. How good are motorbikes?